Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Amber Dresswell.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss the 14th series, the 40th season overall, and also known as Season 1 of Doctor Who. Now, if you joined us last time, we talked about the 60th anniversary specials for Doctor Who that aired around Christmas time. But now we're actually getting into the season. So exciting stuff. Amber, of course, is our Doctor Who expert. She's our Time Lord. So, Amber, I want to start with you. How excited are you to talk about these episodes?
I'm so thrilled. I'm honestly just really, really excited that other people are watching it. Because like I've kind of mentioned to on the previous pod and to you guys separately, other than my dad, I never really had anyone to watch who actually watched this with me, to actually talk about it with. And there's only so long you can talk at a wall. I mean, like it's great to have somebody have other opinions too and other reactions to things. And I'm excited to share that world with you guys because you guys are good friends of mine.
Yeah, well, we're excited to explore it. Brittany, overall thoughts of the first first 4 episodes that we watched. What'd you think of them?
I gotta say, I didn't really think I was going to get into it. I'm slowly starting getting really into it. And I think it's because of this new doctor and the fact that we all are kind of on an even level playing field, right? I mean, I felt like with the return of David Tennant, it's like, oh, this is like huge for long time Doctor Who fans. They already know the lore. They know like the backstory. They know who he is, this and that, what have you. And I'm like, I felt like I was attending someone else's prom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just kind of like on that, standing up against the wall and just like watching everyone else enjoy themselves. And it's just like, I'm happy for you. But now that we all are on this, like the same, like playing field with this new doctor, I feel a little bit better about watching the series. And I got to say, I love Ncuti. Like, oh my gosh, he is so fun to watch. He's very entertaining. There's just like that smile of his is just so cute. And I'm digging it. I have questions for sure about episode 4, known as 73 yards when we get to it, of course. But yeah, this has been really fun and really interesting to watch. And it's even more so fun and interesting because I'm watching these episodes for the very first time with Amber, who seems to have, flown away in her TARDIS just momentarily.
She'll be back. She's joining us. There she is.
But yeah, the fact that I get to watch these and actually text Amber in real time and like just she gets my first real life first reactions to watching these episodes. So it's been a lot of fun. So also I want to give a shout out to those in today's chat. We've got King B Johnson, who shout out to him because he attends like all of our live streams and we really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much. We also have Patty in the house. Hello, Patty. Thank you for being here. She says hello to Amber and hello to Justin and myself and says, I love spoilers. I haven't watched the last 4 episodes of House of the Dragon. So go check out our pods on House of the Dragon because we just did the finale of it last this past Sunday. Yeah. Yep. Definitely we have some thoughts. We have some feelings. So go check that out for sure. And Game with Mike.
That's my coworker.
We've been warned. We've been warned about you, bro. So appreciate you being here. So he says Amber rocks.
Thank you, friend.
Yes. So to those who are new to our channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button if you're enjoying this thus far. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. We're 1 sub away from hitting 400 subs, people. Help make that happen. Let's make it happen today during this live stream.
Yes, please do. We'd like to reach milestones and keep going, keep adding new milestones. So, but we appreciate everybody who's liked or subscribed or watched any of our videos. We do truly appreciate it. As far as the series overall for me, I'm really enjoying the show. Like, I want to thank Amber personally for, convincing us or encouraging us to watch this because I like it. I think it was like this season was like a perfect entry point for someone like me and Brittany who, we know nothing about this world. We haven't, there's a ton of stuff to go back and watch, and it's kind of we're starting fresh with kind of the audience. So thanks to Amber for that. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. There are questions I do have, especially about the last episode, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, all in all, good show. I feel like these 4 episodes had a Twilight Zone kind of feel to not all of them, but there was some Twilight Zone-ish stuff in them. So yeah, we'll break that down also. But let's get to it. The first episode of the season technically is an episode called Space Babies. And Amber, I want to throw to you first because you actually watched this episode when it aired back in May, I believe.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on this episode?
And I was telling Brittany a little bit about this while we were watching it. I know in the first pod that we did for Doctor Who, I mentioned a previous companion from the original reboot in 2005, Rose Tyler, and how she haunts the narrative. She really, really does. There's so many connections to this, and one of her, because she had her first episode with the Doctor where she kind of met him, but the second episode traveling with him was really kind of it was her first adventure with him, and they go to see the end of they go to see Earth exploding. So basically it's the end of Earth. This is the end of Earth as a world. Billions of years in the future, and they get to see a whole bunch of different species came down to watch this, and they were in an orbiter overlooking the beautiful the planet as it's cracking, and Rose and the Doctor have a very similar connection and conversation like Ruby had, where she even talks about her mom and that's crazy, seeing her world being changing and being disappeared. So the Doctor rigs Rose's phone so she can call her mother, and just like how he did with Ruby, and they're both 19-year-old blondes. So it's just there's other small little things that happen that I'm just this woman is never leaving the narrative. I am so in love with Rose Tyler, and it's never gonna go away. So I'm gonna bring her up a lot, and I apologize. But I liked it because I think it was a fun, silly episode, but it had that little sci-fi explanation of it as to why the monster, the boogeyman, was created, and it has a lot of the same energy that a lot of Doctor Who episodes have throughout the past 60 years, where they do have a little bit of a social commentary,
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Nanny saying I don't know who abandoned all these babies and stuff like that, and it's just you'd be surprised, and because they want the babies to be made, but they don't care about them after they're made, and that is that sort of comment and energy is very normal for Doctor Who, because it always is kind of a challenging the social climate, I guess. So that was kind of good to see, I guess. I liked it because it was fun and it was silly, and I'm not a baby person, but the babies are so cute.
Yeah, the talking babies at that.
Yeah.
So
also, really quick, I do want to say the actress who played Nanny, she's actually in Bridgerton. For any of the fans of Bridgerton, she plays Queen Charlotte. And amazing character, amazing actress. Genuinely love her. And there's actually going to be another Bridgerton actor in the new season, or in the new Christmas special this year. So that's kind of a cool little tie-in.
So not to jump too far ahead, but so once we finish the season, which we're going to do in our next episode, so the next thing coming up will be a Christmas special. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we will definitely talk about that when the time
Christmas
comes.
specials are pretty normal with Doctor Who.
Right.
That's the only thing that they do. They don't do Halloween episodes. They don't do New Year's things. They don't do anything. Obviously, they don't do 4th of July because they're British. They do Christmas specials.
They're like Happy Treason Day, you ungrateful colonials.
Yeah, that's the 4th of July. Right.
And it's very they always do Christmas specials. Not always, but we're pretty used to them. There's several. I know that there are I'm online some friends online that I watch Doctor Who too. That they every Christmas time they watch all of the past Christmas specials.
Fun.
That's
I love
cool.
that.
Yeah, that's cool. Brittany, what'd you think about the episode? Which, as Amber was saying, it involves. I mean, title is Space Babies. That's literally what it's about. These babies are in space. The Doctor and Ruby land on their ship basically, and the craziness ensues. We get the bogeyman, they say, which I've always thought it was boogeyman. That must be like a British thing. Bogey versus
It is.
boogie.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
It's
That definitely kind of threw me off course there for a little. I was like, has it always been bogeyman? I just didn't understand. But no, it's like it's got to be boogeyman.
Well, and that's because we Americans, change and spell things differently
Right.
than that of our British counterparts. But
Yeah.
hey, it all literally means this, quite literally means the same thing. Bogey in the UK means boogers.
Yeah.
in
Right.
the US. So
Which,
or as I like to affectionately call that, mocos. Shout out to all my Spanish speakers out there who know what that is. So mocos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But fun episode. It was a fun kickoff to season 1 of season 1 for Disney Plus Doctor Who. And I thought it was so cute how the Doctor would start off by saying babies, space babies. He would just immediately correct himself. These aren't just your normal babies. These are highly enhanced babies that were grown. And for what purpose at that moment, we didn't know. But they're 6 years old, but they're baby babies. But they have the vocabulary of an adult. So it gave me Baby Genius vibes. If you know that movie from back in the day, that's entirely what it reminded me of course. Captain Poppy, so precious. Oh my gosh, protect her at all costs. I absolutely love how the question is asked to them, babies, have you ever been held before, given a hug before? No. And so one gets the hug, me. I mean, just chaos. Absolute chaos. Shout out to those who are parents of not just one child, but multiple children, because the three of us here, no, we're not. Some of us are fur mom and dads, but it's no, just not tiny humans. So, but it was just really cute to see these actors interact with babies, because it's really tough from my understanding to work with little ones on set. And then there's this scary monster that lives in this I guess spacecraft, if you will, that frightens the babies. And I'm like, yeah, that thing actually looked terrifying with the teeth and the slime and it's not slime, but it's gross. And the nanny who has a filter, that was hilarious to me. Yeah. Every time she spoke, an auto nanny filter would really curve what Nanny was trying to say, bleep bleep, which was explicit. It's Nanny was not being very cordial at that moment. But yeah, fun episode. I like how the Doctor is kind of trying to work things out, and Ruby's over here what is this substance? And he's like, bogey man. So it was fun. It was a fun episode, kind of gross, but it was a fun episode.
After what we got with the Meek in the first special, I thought the kids were going to be the villains. I really did. I was waiting for the turn. I was like, this is pretty genius. These cute kids are going to be the things they have to fight or whatever. But
they get the eyebrows and then the teeth. Yeah.
Right. Instead, the villain was a mucus monster. So did not see that coming. Very interesting. Before we get to the babies, I want to mention about how, so if you're watching this on Disney Plus, which is how we watched it, of course, they list the Christmas special as the first episode, which makes it confusing. So Space Babies, which is actually the first episode, is listed as number 2. And I thought it was interesting. If you didn't watch the Christmas special and you just jumped in on this episode, I think you would be okay, because the episode opens with, in the special, we already meet the new Doctor, and we meet Ruby, but then, Ruby has questions for the Doctor. She asks, where he's from and, the planet he's from and what's a TARDIS and what's a doctor and all this stuff. And so you get an explanation of like, if you came in here cold, they're going to kind of catch you up before we get into the season. So I appreciated that for sure.
That was a little rapid fire, honestly. I told Brittany, I was just like, the Doctor info dumping is not normal. He info dumps about everything but himself. Most of the time, like he, like I was telling her, other companions have to like beg and plead and like pry the information out of him. That like, yeah, we get that he's an alien and he travels in this spaceship, but actual information about Gallifrey and his childhood and his past and stuff like that, they don't really talk about that, or his age really. It's kind of like things that are sprinkled throughout the seasons and over time, but they kind of just jumped right into it, that I kind of felt like I was being a little slapped in the face in a good way. But also, like, I feel like from the other companion standpoint, I'm just kind of like, what? She did nothing to deserve this. Like, I don't, but that's just me. But yeah, it definitely was helpful. And I think when the episode first came out, I even told, like, I think Brittany and I texted you saying, like, they do pretty well at making it concise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it felt natural too. Like, it was very natural conversation. It wasn't just the Doctor completely info dumping. It was her asking questions and actually having a reaction.
Yeah, it wasn't like forced exposition for exposition's sake. Sorry, that's tough to say.
Words are tough.
Some of them are very tough for me. Before we saw the Space Babies, we saw dinosaurs briefly, and then we got a Star Trek mention, which got me to wondering, and I was asking Amber this: has there ever been a crossover, not necessarily just with Star Trek, but has Doctor Who ever crossed over with anything else that you know of?
Not really. No. There are some other things, like they do meet obviously famous people, famous literature and stuff like that, like Sylvia Plath. And
I mean,
oh my goodness, I feel so dumb. Who is the guy who wrote Christmas Carol?
Charles Dickens.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I don't know why that was. Ooh, I am on so much cold and allergy medication. You don't understand.
Oh, great. She's high.
I was playing it off pretty well, I thought.
This is going to be a great pod, everyone.
I didn't know you were sick, so I'm sorry to hear that you're sick. Hopefully you get well fast.
Oh, no, I feel 100% fine. It's just congestion.
Okay.
She feels fine because she's high. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah,
Charles Dickens. Like, we meet people like that and kind of have like similar experiences to what they wrote and things, but
I feel
not
like
really.
I feel like and I actually, Justin, I didn't catch the Star Trek reference. I'm not a Trekkie. So no
I'm not either, but I noticed they mentioned that, and I just thought, because he even says, the Doctor says, like, oh, we should visit them sometime, or I can't remember the line exactly, but he makes a reference like, oh, I should show you them, or we should visit them, or something. And I was like, I wonder if they've ever done something like that, because it seemed like they were like nodding to something that had already happened, or maybe something will happen in the future. I don't know.
So yeah, just listening to it, I was kind of taking the Deadpool approach, right? The whole breaking the fourth wall, or meta kind of situation. But like, but if you're saying it was in the context of like their actual species or whatever in some form of the universe, it's like that's crazy.
The Star Trek characters were real obviously in some world that he has inhabited.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait. I did that wrong. Fascinating. Okay.
Well, also Star Trek, like, isn't Spock a descendant of Sherlock Holmes? Like, I'm pretty. My dad was a Trekkie. I'm not, but like they quote each other, and they even talk about like a distant relative and stuff like that. It's like a whole thing. I don't know if it's canon or not. I don't know if it's like confirmed or anything, but it's like it's pretty much assumed in the fan base that Spock is related to Sherlock Holmes somehow. So it would be so technically Star Trek would be our timeline and our universe if Sherlock was real. And so it's like already kind of in a fictional universe. This is Doctor Who is a fictional universe. It's like our universe slightly to the left. So
Okay.
But yes, dinosaurs, Star Trek,
Right. Right.
butterfly. That was kind of scary, like, oh, if I step on a butterfly, will I change the course of history? And it's like she steps on a butterfly and she turns into an alien. What the hell?
it was just for the joke of it, because
Oh, God.
they've had I think it was 12 had this conversation with Bill, their companion at the time. Like, she even mentioned too, like, what if I like run into like my great grandfather or something, and he's just like, no one will care. Like, it just didn't seem like that big of a deal before. They kind of just joke about it. But other things are kind of serious, like, oh yeah, like, time is weird, and you'll see all factions of it. So I think this was kind of them just joking with themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like if that's the case, then wouldn't them having met Sir Isaac Newton back, and they made the joke of, oh, the gravity of the situation. He's like, what was that delightful word? He starts saying, and then he lands on mavity. Like, wouldn't that alone like change the course of history just because they changed the word? It's not gravity, it's not, you know what I'm saying? So like, is it going to be inconsistent always, or I don't know.
We don't know. Like, they
It's
might
a mystery.
mention, they might like the Doctor in the Christmas special, he did say mavity. So we don't know if that's like a gag that they're going to continue to do throughout the rest of the show forever. We don't know. But it's kind of I don't think them, like, Newton mishearing mavity versus gravity, I don't think it really changes anything, because he still is the guy who fundamentally comes up with it. He just named it something else.
Okay.
So I mean,
that's fine.
That's the only difference, because we don't really have, like, if the inventor of the thing named it something else, it's not going to change what he invented.
Sure, I'll accept that.
Fair. So we get these babies. They're on this like space station, right? Or space station.
It's
right?
an orbiter.
Yeah, it's an orbiter. Yeah, space station orbiter. So
she's like, it's an orbiter, Justin. Duh.
I know. Sorry. It's even in the chat there. It's right there. I should just.
I know. I see it.
And
I tried to help.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. The babies are obviously deathly afraid of this bogeyman, which we learn, of course, is made of mucus from the babies. But then Doctor Who, instead of like stopping the bogeyman, potentially killing it, he realizes the bogeyman is one of a kind and thus decides to save him. So Amber, explain, is this something that Doctor Who, like, is Doctor Who one of a kind also? The Doctor,
I will also say, yeah, he is the Doctor. He's not Doctor Who.
I know. You corrected me last week. In my mind, I've been saying that all week, but then like I messed up just now. But yeah, it's just the show is called Doctor Who. The character is the Doctor. I got it. But is that something that's reoccurring?
We will be looking for a new host. Everyone, please submit your applications.
Oh, this is going to get real confusing if the Master comes back. Anyway, or just other Time Lords, who knows? He chose to save it because the orbiter created the boogeyman just like it created the babies. So it just created the babies out of the materials it had. So it's kind of, I think his standpoint was like, this is a living creature, just like those babies. The spaceship was just trying to help the babies. And this is one of the babies. Kind of like, he was kind of like lumping them together because they were like, yeah, he didn't want to. So that's why he chose to save the boogeyman. But as for the Doctor being the last of his kind, that's complicated.
Okay. I figured it would be.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Going back to the bogeyman. The bogeyman, has been chasing the Doctor and Ruby, the babies, the space babies, even Nanny fear. Mm-hmm. By the way, her name is Jocelyn in the show as well. Nanny is just the software or whatever that she voices. But everyone's afraid of the bogeyman, right? They had no idea where it came from, no idea how it would have gotten into the orbiter and whatnot. But because the orbiter created babies, it created, just everything. It created this monster. In the end, the Doctor is, trying to save this bogeyman, and it's like they're about to be sucked out of the orbiter into space. It's going to kill everyone that's there. And when he does save the bogeyman, the bogeyman ends up howling at the end, like as if it's a dog. I don't fully understand. Like, was it a baby or was it a dog? Like, I don't understand.
It is its own creature because
one of a kind.
What they were trying. Well, yes, because what they were trying to, they kind of tried to explain is the reason that the spaceship created the bogeyman is because, as the children grow, they need something to fear, and because we tell ghost stories, we tell scary stories, and the howling kind of made me think of the Big Bad Wolf. Not me, bad wolf. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Did not think of that. Did not think that through.
But I'm bummed.
Thinks of other fairy tales and stuff like that. So other fairy tales, there's always kind of, a little bad guy, and we tell things about the boogeyman to keep kids in their bed, and we tell things like the Big Bad Wolf, like Red Riding Hood, to tell kids still, stay on the path. And it's like, it's life lessons. So that's what the orbiter was trying to do. So when it created that monster, it created the monster kind of like how it did the babies, but it created the boogeyman to be a fairy tale creature. So it is not, I thought, I at least took it as it's like it was created to be an homunculation of fairy tale boogers.
Well, and that was not the only thing that the babies produced that could have assisted the orbiter, because it orbits in one place, right? It's not a spaceship. It doesn't have an engine. It can't take them anywhere. They're just kind of stuck there. And we saw this video of all the past crew members who resigned on the spot because I guess they didn't agree what was happening with this experiment or whatnot. And Jocelyn tells the Doctor and Ruby there's nowhere for them to go. Now, yes, there is a refugee sort of planet, but they have no means of being able to get to that planet or whatever the refugee place is. But then the Doctor so cleverly says, well, and this is kind of where it reinforced the whole this is a science, this started off as a science education program where the babies produced the mucus, which produced the bogeyman. The babies poop, and poop produces methane, and methane is a gas, which launches them onward to go and hopefully aim for this refugee planet that everyone, Jocelyn and all these babies, will be able to be taken care of. So I'm like, wow, that was disgusting, but also educational.
Yeah.
And I love that it sounded like a fart too. It was just like, it was so funny.
Flatulence at its finest.
The two key ingredients in this episode were snot and poop.
Oh.
So you're off to a good start this season. Yeah. Let's talk about the end of the episode, because after we get the babies resolved, we've got the Ruby gets a key to the TARDIS, and the Doctor tells her he can never take her to the day when she was born. Otherwise, they would fall into a dark paradox. Amber, explain all of that.
Well, he went back in time to help her with the goblins.
Right.
So if he went back to that night, they would see themselves again and can't be in the same place twice. So paradox.
Okay.
And paradoxes that's just kind of just how it has to be, really. With Doctor Who, it's kind of our way of having rules for time travel. Otherwise, we could just go back willy-nilly and be crazy and have a billion doppelgangers of ourselves go back and back and back and back. But the reason we can't do that and waste time and, I guess, time and effort and stuff like that going through that is because paradoxes. And the paradoxes make basically the fabric of the universe fragile. Things start freaking out. Things do. There are paradoxes in Doctor Who. There is a couple of them that have occurred, and it's not pretty and it's not easy to fix. So him saying that is very clear. Like, hey, we're not dealing with that. No. So yeah,
Ruby takes it very well though. Like, you know, you kind of think maybe she's going to argue with him, and she's like, or be defiant. And she's like, well, we're going to go see my mom. And he's like, what did I just say? He's like, did I stutter? And she's like, no, you're going to take me to go see my mom, you know, and what she's referring to is her adopted mother, back home where they live, Christmas Day, which is also Ruby's birthday, or is it Christmas Eve? That's her birthday.
Christmas Eve. Yeah.
And so, you know, they go back to where she left her mom and her grandmother, and the TARDIS like makes a big entrance inside their home, which I thought was hilarious. I'm like, how did it not destroy everything in its path? Like, I have questions.
She does that. I don't. she crashes into many things. She also kind of like half morphs into things. It's just she just kind of does. The TARDIS does what she wants. Gotcha. Unfortunately, there was a little funny clip though when how he told Ruby when she went out to go talk to her mom. He's like, tell your mom not to slap me. That is a kind of a joke because he has a bit of a reputation of companions' mothers slapping him.
Can't imagine why.
10 specifically, like David Tennant's been slapped like 4 or 5 times in his run of Doctor Who. It was only like 3 seasons. Yeah, he's been slapped by many mothers. So mothers just tend to, I don't know, have it out for him. So it was just really, really funny that he's just like, tell your mother not to slap me. Like, he's like, I'm jumping the gun here. I'm preparing myself.
But then
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is funny. And then he kind of starts info dumping as well to, you know, provide an explanation as to, you know, why they're there, how they're there, like, you know, who he is. And then he like walks out of frame as if he's walking out of the TARDIS to say, you know, and my name is, and then you just hear the door close. So do we ever have we ever known his name? Will we ever know his name? Is it something so complicated that, you know, we're not going to be able to comprehend? I'm curious, very curious. Is it Sherlock Holmes? I'm just kidding.
A little bit of all of the above, except Sherlock.
Rats.
Is on Gallifrey, they're kind of raised with their actual name, which Time Lords can only discuss or use in certain times and places. It is kind of inferred that they can only do this during their wedding or during their death. That's kind of what it's inferred with. There is a previous, like, he is married to, he marries River Song. And when she was mentioned, like when 15 was talking to 14, they mentioned River Song, that River Song is their wife. During their wedding, he does whisper in her ear, and he says, like, I just told you my name. So it's kind of it's a thing that they don't really say that. They do have names that they were called as children. That was not like this sacred name, I guess, for lack of a better word. And his childhood name was Theta.
Okay.
And because you go to the academy, young little Gallifreyans go to the, because Time Lord is like a type of Gallifreyan. Not all Gallifreyans are Time Lords.
Okay.
You have to go to the academy and graduate from the academy.
Ah, got it.
Yeah, and when you go to the academy, they literally alter your genetic code. So basically, they open up your brain. So Time Lords are kind of genetically, again, the Time Lords are kind of jerks. They're kind of self-important, of themselves, because they think that they're genetically superior to other Gallifreyans and therefore the rest of the universe.
Okay.
Yeah, Gallifreyans, Time Lords kind of suck. But when you graduate from the academy, you get to pick your name, and he chose the Doctor. Therefore, he is the Doctor.
Okay. All right.
But we don't really know what the name is. But people do talk because the Doctor and the Master, they grew up together, and the Master was Koschei or Koschei. So people do refer, Brittany, to you, I've had to refer to the Master as Koschei because I'm I feel uncomfortable talking about the Master in broad daylight with people who don't understand. So it's a little complicated. There's even been some crazy theories over the past 60 years that his name is the theme song, like the doo-wee-oo, or it's a resonance or a form of language that we can't process.
Okay.
Because the TARDIS translates languages and for all humans. It translates for all beings, really. It translates everything except Gallifreyan. It does not translate written Gallifreyan. Therefore, we can kind of assume that it won't translate verbal Gallifreyan.
Okay. Whatever you say, Master.
And so many nicknames now. Bad Wolf, Time Lord, Master.
I'm saying with the Bad Wolf. I like Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
Wifey for me, just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Y'all have such a special friendship.
We do.
Yeah.
We're companions.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Is there anything else we want to talk about with this episode?
I think we hit all the high points and
so.
Overall plot and just
yeah.
It's fun. The energy that the Doctor gives is so captivating, and then even in the times where it's very serious and they're having to run from something and he's trying to quick fire process things and what have you, it keeps you interested. It really does keep you interested. So, and that's someone like Justin, who has never watched anything Doctor Who prior to this particular series. Season. It's very equally confusing, but it's the specials were fun to watch, and then the first episode of this with this new Doctor was fun to watch as well. So the second episode, quite silly.
Let's get to it. From the high points of Space Babies, let's go to the high notes of the Devil's Chord, episode 2.
I am so proud of you, Justin.
Oh, I'm good at this sometimes. When I can actually say the words, I'm okay. Yeah, when I can say the words, I'm okay.
Good job.
We see the Doctor and Ruby get to meet the Beatles. They travel back to 1963, which was also the first year of Doctor Who. And they also had to battle the Maestro, which the Maestro is a child of the toy maker, from what we learned in this episode.
Yeah.
Amber, what was your main takeaway from this episode, The Devil's Chord?
I, along with many, because immediately when I finished an episode, I go on to Tumblr to see what other people thought with me. And a lot of us were this felt like a penultimate episode.
Okay.
To us, because having another character right off the bat who is a god, just like the toy maker was.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like this should have been saved, I feel like. But it felt like too soon, too fast, for me at least. And yes, it was a very silly episode overall, but I think a lot of times you guys kind of forget that they're gods, and this is actually genuinely terrifying. The Doctor was legitimately scared.
Mm-hmm.
because his soul was ripped in half last time he dealt with one of them, and he's like, I cannot do this again. And so it's actually very, very serious, while also being goofy and silly. But overall, I liked it. Obviously, they wouldn't have even with Disney money, they wouldn't have the budget to do an actual Beatles song in there, but I feel like they could have done like at least some references. You don't have to have an actual song in there, but you could like do a couple plays on words and stuff like that. Like,
right.
There's so
I want to
many
hold your hand. Sorry.
Yeah, because that's what the Doctor does. Like the Doctor runs a lot. Like I've told you guys before that like when meeting Rose in the first reboot, he's just like, "Hi Rose, I'm the Doctor. Now run for your life," and just like grabs your hand and run. Like that's they sell merchandise that's like the Doctor grabbed my hand and told me to run. Like that's how I became a fan. Like that's there's a lot of things like that hold your hand would have been perfect because they're always holding hands when they run.
I am a genius. All right. I am a genius, like the gentleman who was able to unlock the devil's chord, right? The lost chords or whatever it was called. I am a flippin' genius.
Yes. But yeah, it was just I really liked it. And there's also other small little tidbits here and there. That like when I told Brittany while we were watching it, but when Maestro is playing a certain music, if you Justin, do you watch the subtitles on?
Say it again.
Do you watch the subtitles?
I do. Oh yeah, I always do.
Cool. Yeah. It does say that the master is not the master. Maestro is playing Saxon's theme as he's like kind of like chasing them back into the TARDIS. Saxon's theme is actually the master. Saxon is one of the alter egos of the master.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I recognized it just by hearing it because I watched the subtitles too, but I was walking around getting water or something when it happened, and I like flipped over a chair when I was because I was trying to get back to my screen because I love the master, and I was like, what? I heard that theme song. Each individual companion also has their own theme song. It's kind of a thing.
Oh, fun.
And the piano music that Ruby played, the song that she says that she wrote for her friend Trudy after a girl broke her heart. Mm-hmm. It's assumed that was a little white lie from her and that she wrote it herself about herself. Ruby is Trudy because that's her theme song.
Ah, okay, yeah. Okay.
It plays like during her moments and stuff like that. Like you'll hear, hopefully in the future, once we get other companions and start mixing it up, there's certain iconic songs that are specifically for characters.
Well, I will say lots of talent in this episode, right? I mean, Maestro, who is played by Jinx Monsoon, who is known for being on RuPaul's Drag Race. That was almost hard to say. I love the idea of having like a drag queen as like a villain, and then when Maestro introduces themselves to the piano instructor, it's like, who are you? You know, what is she doing here? And it's like, I'm they. It's like, who? like the confusion. You know, the pronoun things is something that's very current in today's world and what have you. And I think it's kind of fun how they're able to incorporate that kind of thing into this beloved show. But the level of operatic singing that Maestro displayed, and just how they popped out of the piano.
Yeah,
you know, once the Devil's Chord, or you know, the lost notes were played, and that little kid. I told this to Amber. I'm just going to put it out there. That little kid looks like Ego, like a child version of Ego from Ratatouille. I saw him and I'm like,
Ego. He's ginger.
He's so he's soulless too. Damn. Tough break.
Well, he is a harbinger. So, I mean, harbinger of evil. It's kind of like
there you go. There you go. So yeah, the introduction of Maestro and just like the costumes and just the makeup. Oh my God, everything was fire with that. So good. So good. So good.
I did think it was interesting. The Maestro was like taking music away from the world. That was like the maestro's kind of, goal
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
this in the world. I enjoyed that. And, we get the scenes where the Beatles are recording their first record and they're not good. Like since
It's
the world was
bad.
changed like in 1925, yeah, they're singing this song about their dog. Some really bad song about their dog, and you're just like, wow, that's not a Beatles song. That's a rough one. Um, Another like cool music thing was the beginning of the episode, the maestro led into the theme song. Like the maestro started playing the
Mm-hmm.
piano cues that led to the theme song. So I like
Also
that stuff.
broke the fourth wall
Yeah.
right here in this episode too.
So the
Like,
doctor.
yes, very much so. So I think it's just interesting how we're also kind of, and we're just getting off our high. No, I don't think we're off our high of Deadpool and Wolverine, but Deadpool, who's known for breaking the fourth wall all of the time. So like seeing that also be used into this show was like a fun little element as well. Again, captivating, keeps you entertained.
I do want to say it too. It's a tiny, tiny little line that the doctor says, but it sent me and a couple other fans like reeling for a couple weeks. Is when they are in the recording studio and they're trying to defeat Maestro, and he's just like, oh, let me just figure out how the right tunes or whatever, and they were and Ruby was just like, wait, do you hear that? Do you hear the music? And he says, I thought it was non-diegetic. That implies that all of the background music in the entire show he can hear.
Well, now
That's what it's implying, because
Yeah,
if he thought it was non-diegetic means like that it's not in the real world, like it's only for audiences. It's in like what's happening in most romantic movies. Like if a couple is kissing on the beach, that swelling, beautiful music, there's not an orchestra on the beach. It's just an empty beach. It would sound like waves and seagulls. Like it's
interesting.
Yeah, and my mind is blown. So does the doctor know he's in a TV show? Or like, also, this implies so many things, and I know I've mentioned the Master too many times already. I think we need like a counter for how many times I bring up the Master in rows.
We should do a poll before we do Doctor Who reviews. Like, how many times in a review will Amber say the word Master?
Yes. There's like, but obviously the Master has his own kind of music too, not just Saxon's theme, but like a couple other songs that are his theme song. So it's just, but the Master is also a Time Lord, so he also regenerates. So he's tricked the Doctor a couple of times already in the past by disguising himself as like, oh, a new person, oh, whatever, and then, oh, actually the Master. And it's like, he's not your new best friend, Doctor. The music is in minor key.
Oh my gosh.
The music is in minor. This mysterious stranger is not your new bestie. He's the Master. Aww. Like, it's just that it's making me wonder so many other things, and other people are kind of theorizing, especially that since the Sonic was able to mute sound, people are kind of just like, the Doctor knows that he's in a TV show, and that's why he was able to break the fourth wall. And yeah, like he's breaking the fourth wall, he's doing that, he knows the theme song, and this is also confirming something else in the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, he could play the guitar. So they were trying to play the guitar, and they there is one of the intros for an episode is he is inside the TARDIS and he's just playing around with the guitar, and then he leads into the theme song just like Maestro did.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
that's fun.
So this is like, does he know he's in a TV show?
I'm gonna go with yes. The sonic screwdriver, that's what it's called.
Yep.
That floored me because it's like that light was so bright.
Yeah.
Very blinding. But the fact that the sonic screwdriver muted not just the music, but all sound, audible, sound effects, everything. I was like, oh, I was not expecting that to happen, like at all. Like that was really cool. And then you cutting the camera back to Maestro, who was already kind of like hunting them down, you know, because Ruby has music in her heart, apparently, that Maestro can hear or is inclined to be in tuned with, what have you. And Maestro's using the pitchfork. Pitchfork, is that what it's called? Tuning fork, sorry. And is doing various things in order to try to see if sound will come out. And then the brilliant use of the tuning fork when it's tapped and then just putting it into the water, and you see the water ripple, and that's how the sound starts coming back to the episode. I was like, oh, this is like, oh, that's really interesting. Like the effects were really, really cool.
Loved it.
Yeah. Of course, when the notes are like coming out of Maestro to seize the genius or the person who's playing music or what have you. Also, I hope that old lady who was starting to play Claire de Lune was okay. I hope she wasn't, you know, killed. That was very sad. Oh, Amber's look says otherwise. Okay.
I'm assuming she was.
Yeah, it's tough. That the graphics, of course, on all the music notes and like the stanzas and what have you. I was just like, oh, this is very like campy. We get the campiness here, right? You know, this is Doctor Who. We've got to keep the campiness. So I was like, okay, graphics don't look great here, but it's on brand with Doctor Who. So that was kind of
it would be so weird if it was not. Like
exactly.
I would be yeah. If there was not like, you need a bit of campiness. If there wasn't a little bit of campiness, I would be so confused. I thought it was just really interesting about like, but yeah, the lady, I'm assuming she's dead. Because I mean Maestro attacked her and assumedly consumed her. We don't really know what Maestro does with people once they pass out. But that happened before they defeated the Maestro. So it just kind of, she's a casualty, and unfortunately there will be more.
You know, I really enjoyed the music battle between the Doctor and the Maestro. It really kind of reminded me of the note battle that we saw in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. It was kind of similar to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that. That's good. That's
You know,
good.
speaking of Marvel and the MCU, let's go to the chat. We've got Rahib here with a comment that I gotta say, Rahib, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I appreciate it. This is the highest compliment I think I've ever received. So thank you very much. He says, is it just me or is Justin looking like Ryan Reynolds? And I'm like, thank you. I don't think so, but I'll take it. Hey, like,
I will say,
enjoy the compliment.
You've got you're one with the quickness, like Ryan Reynolds, in terms of just
sometimes.
humor and the comebacks. My goodness, yeah, I've known you.
Appreciate it.
I've known you for a long time, and yeah, it's there. It's apparent.
Well, yeah, I appreciate
it. Vibe. It's the vibe. It's the
same
energy.
Vibe.
Well, I have seen Deadpool and Wolverine 4 times, so
nerd.
And honestly, I could probably see it 40 times. I really enjoy that movie. So
serious question.
Yeah.
Can you now do the opening dance choreography?
No.
Damn it. You need to watch it more.
That'll never happen.
Shit.
Amber, have you seen the movie yet?
I'll help you at work.
No.
You haven't? Okay. Well, we don't want to spoil anything.
I love spoilers. I'm like Patty. I love spoilers. I literally, if a thing can be ruined for me by me being spoiled by it, then it wasn't really good.
Well,
because I enjoy the storytelling. I like to know what I'm fine with spoilers because it's never going to stop me from enjoying something. So
I will just say, NSYNC has been living rent free in my head ever since I've watched Deadpool, and I'm okay with it.
You know, honestly, almost every song from that movie, like the music is used so well in that film that I'm really excited for Amber to see it. I understand some people, you know, like Amber said about spoilers, not a big deal to her, but like I do like surprises though. And like I really think that that movie's loaded with surprises. And so I'd hate to like spoil that for anybody because that's part of the fun, you know, like
thank goodness Maestro wasn't really around, because if Maestro stripped the music from Deadpool and Wolverine, it would not be the movie that it is.
It would
Anyway,
not be.
back to
Let's-
Doctor Who.
But let's wrap up the MCU talk with this question from Rahib. He says, "Do you guys think we will get a cameo of Doctor Who in the upcoming Avengers movies?"
Yes.
I do not think so.
Oh, well, that's
Doctor
Well,
Strange, for sure.
I didn't think so either.
Oh, I thought I'm sorry. I read that as Doctor Strange. Sorry, I got
no,
like
this is Doctor
lost
Who.
on Doctor.
Yeah,
My
Doctor
bad.
Who. Yeah,
Doctor
yeah.
Who? No.
No, Doctor Strange for sure will be in the movies. Like
Yes.
guaranteed. Yeah.
Guaranteed. But
Yeah,
Doctor Who? No.
Yeah.
No.
Benedict Cumberbatch actually kind of spoiled that a while back when he was doing something with Netflix, and he said that he was like going to be working on Avengers next year, meaning early 2025. So he will for sure be in the movie. Probably a very prominent role, and I can't wait to see Doctor Strange face off with Doctor Doom, played by Robert Downey Jr. That's going to be crazy stuff. But
Mhm.
as Brittany was saying before, let's get back to Doctor Who. We've mentioned, and mostly Amber said the word master many times. When the maestro says the one who waits is almost here, is that a reference to the master? No,
No.
I know nothing.
Duh.
I can't tell you
Okay.
because of
Right.
Spoilers,
Wait.
Justin. It's spoilers.
No, okay, but is it a character that we would know? Now,
No,
granted,
no.
no. Okay.
But what's actually really funny is that just even saying the word spoilers is a quote from Doctor Who.
Okay.
There's a character that lived in their timeline is the opposite of the Doctor's. So the more we get to know her, the less she knows of the Doctor and she knows of everything. It's very Time Traveler's Wife kind of ish vibe. Like, you know, the more you get to know them, the less they know you kind of thing.
I'm not confused
but-
at all. That's fine.
Well, I know, Justin, you said that you might be interested in watching the original series, but Brittany, if you ever do, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to quote the character whenever the Doctor asks anything. Spoilers.
Yeah. Noted. Carry on.
Yeah, no, I think I am interested in watching the other seasons, particularly the ones with Matt Smith and with the Doctor Who was number 10, number 14.
David Tennant.
David
David Tennant, yeah. And Amber also in a text message told me what I should actually watch. So I will stick with her recommendations.
You should at least watch 9 because he's only one season.
Uh-huh.
And it's Christopher Eccleston, and it's just one season. And if you're going to go back and watch the original reboot, you got to do it like the rest of us, buddy. You can't just jump into 10.
Okay.
Like,
Well, I don't want to disappoint you. So yeah.
I think also it will make you appreciate the other incarnations of the Doctor from seeing 9. So you have to experience 9.
So, do
Will
these other doctors have like the silly moments like what we saw with the end of this episode where, you know, the Doctor, you know, they've saved the day, right? Maestro has been put back in their place because thank God for John Lennon and Paul McCartney, who, by the way, they did a really good job casting John Lennon. Paul McCartney, you know,
Yeah.
They were
He's just a British boy in a wig, honestly.
I know, right? The two of those characters were able to figure out like the chord needed in order to lock up Maestro back where they came from, and that's where Maestro says the one who waits is coming or something like that.
Is almost here.
Is almost here. And the Doctor tells Ruby that, you know, hey, you know, all this has happened, but just remember, there's always a twist in the end. Enter musical theater. Like, my God. Full on dance sequences, singing, a performance, like very 1960s wardrobe, which I absolutely love. I mean, very, very 1960s British wardrobe. Just it gave me The Boys the last season 3, where Kimiko and Frenchie were having like this wonderful moment of just, you know, musical theater, and they're just having fun. They're having their own world. The Doctor is singing, Ruby is singing, the Beatles are actually making good music. Like it was like so silly. but they're saying, there's always a twist in the end, whatever. So silly.
Yeah, the silliness, yes. The musical number, no. We don't really have musical numbers like that. That was a shock to everybody, honestly. It really was a shock. Like, honestly, yeah. I was just like, I was enjoying it, obviously, but I was kind of like on my screen for like a solid half of it. Because I was just so completely shocked that they did that. I didn't think that I never thought we were ever going to get a musical episode of Doctor Who. But it was really funny, and there's always a twist at the end, kind of, I don't know, it gets me thinking, I guess, because
yeah,
I feel like you're telling me something, and it should be right there in my face.
Probably.
Especially since he looked at us and winked, and I'm not gonna lie, I swooned a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in love with a doctor since I was 14 years old. Let me live.
No one's like trying to contain you. Like, be
who you are.
Be who you are. Yeah.
It was I really, really liked it. Honestly, I know it's the wrong decade, but it kind of made me think of Austin Powers.
It's pretty damn close.
Yeah, like it's the wrong decade, but just like how everyone gets involved with the music video, I guess. That's kind of what it got for me. Before we really like wrap up on this episode, though, I do have a thing that I want to like mention, but actually, no, I'm gonna wait until after 73 cards. I'm gonna wait until afterwards. Never mind. Okay. Forget what I said.
We will move on. Let's move on to the third episode of the season of Doctor Who, titled Boom. This one was an interesting episode, given that the Doctor and Ruby land on this like war-torn planet, and the Doctor steps on a landmine, and that's basically where he's stuck for the entire episode. Brittany, what did you think about this episode?
Lots of talkie-talkie. Lots of talkie-talkie. I was more frustrated with one of the female. I have a hard time saying this word. And Angelican? What's the Angelican Marine or
right?
Anyway,
it was a reference to basically like it's like a religious.
It's
soldier.
A religious soldier, right?
Yeah.
And I got more frustrated with one particular one, but anyway, we'll start from the beginning. Monday. I got more frustrated with her than anything in this whole episode. It's like I was more
frustrated with the child.
Okay, the child.
Splice.
Bless her heart.
Real bad name. Real change it. That's a change right there.
No, bless her heart in the southern way.
In the southern way, Justin. Like this is not good. Like she was dumb. Like so the start of this episode, like there's this war planet. They're trying, these two Angelican type Marine soldier people are surveying the area, and there's something called an ambulance, and it's not like a helpful kind of thing. It seems the ambulance seems to evaluate you if you're injured, and then ultimately terminates you in a pretty horrific way. And so this one character who apparently is like blinded temporarily is subject to being evaluated by an ambulance, ultimately gets murked, and leaves behind a daughter who goes out looking for her daddy. And when she calls out his name or something like that, the thing that is kind of like for lack of a better term, urn, because I don't remember what it was called.
It was an urn.
Okay, it's an urn.
It
remains. It projects a holographic version of the father, who is like now like this AI kind of thing, has like memories and whatever. And so the AI appears, and the little girl's like, Daddy. And when people, Ruby and the Doctor and what have you, because by this point the Doctor has already stepped on a landmine, he's trying to keep his cool, he's trying not to activate it so that he doesn't die.
Yeah,
the little girl is like, Daddy, where's Daddy? And they're all like, you know, you need to leave. This is really dangerous. Well, I'm safe with my daddy. And I'm like, he's a fucking holograph, you dumb ass. I was so frustrated with her. This isn't like a small child. This is like a 10-year-old, like a 10, 11-year-old. You should know the difference. Your daddy is dead. It's a holograph.
Yes.
So frustrated. But then I was also frustrated with Mundy too. So, Amber, please take it away.
Me? I'm gonna let Justin talk for a bit.
Oh yeah, Justin, what did you?
Yeah,
think?
you go first.
No, I agree with your assessment of this episode. I thought the episode was cool overall. To me, this was a very much a Twilight Zone kind of episode, because we learned that these people are fighting this war, but they're really just fighting themselves. They're fighting their own technology. They're fighting the technology that this company, Villain Guard, has created, and that was interesting. I thought that was a really like unique take. The part about the ambulances, which were basically like they would assess, like you mentioned the girl's father who is killed by the ambulance because they assess that his injury will take like 4 weeks, and that's unacceptable because as the doctor explains, you know, life is cheap, but patients are expensive. And so this AI controlled ambulance has this algorithm that's basically just trying to, you know, produce the most war at the lowest cost, you know, to make the most money. And I thought that was an
Sounds like
interesting.
America.
Yeah, we don't have the AI capabilities of this quite yet, but who knows?
No,
Yeah,
but
Villain Guard is
right.
But the healthcare is pretty on point.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy, because like honestly, it's one of those things where like I didn't know where it was going to go. Like when the doctor stepped in the landmine, I was like, can't he just kind of do anything to fix that problem? But like, you know, I guess he's not like a superhero. He just has this, you know, magical time machine spacecraft that, you know, lets him do basically anything. But in that scenario, I guess
he's an alien, but
it's
he
an
doesn't
alien,
have like
right?
powers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But
that's kind of the difference between fantasy and this is a science show.
yeah.
He is an alien. Yeah, he does have a higher, I don't know the logical term for bigger brain headspace. And like he's a biological item, just like we are. And yeah, he has the sonic screwdriver, but again, it's a screwdriver. There's only so much it can do. Yeah. It can already resonate concrete. I don't know if it can deal with Villain Guard, and we've dealt with Villain Guard before. It's just there's nothing you can do. Sometimes there's scientifically nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of a good thing for them to do, because they do start leaning into, ever since the Doctor poured the salt at the end of the universe in Wild Blue Yonder, Doctor Who's been taking a lot more of a little bit dive into paranormal and supernatural and fantasy stuff, and not when before it was purely science. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of whimsy here, but there's whimsy in the fact that there's aliens, not like the whimsy had roots in science, not just, oh, I can just aim my magic sonic screwdriver wand at this thing and it'll turn it off. Like, no, you can't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed the episode. I do think that Mundy and the guy who liked her, I thought those characters were kind of like in their own episode. Like they were kind of doing their own show, and then it kind of intersected with the plot of this episode. So they were both kind of, I don't know. It was very strange because like they're in one breath, like they're in this war zone that they're like, Mundy especially is very much like all about, like, you know, she's very focused on the cause, but then at the same time they're having this like flirty weird back and forth, and then the little girl's dad dies, and then I don't know, parts of it were just kind of all over the place. And then you have the Doctor who's 1 foot on this landmine, then Ruby gets shot, and you're just like, How are they going to resolve this episode?
By the way, great segue as to why I was so annoyed with Monday, because the ambulance was attaching itself to the doctor and therefore trying to scan and trying to like evaluate the injury or, you know, what have you. And so the big plan was for Monday and Ruby to like distract the ambulance. Monday is like, here, shoot me in the hand, something to cause like an injury. That way the ambulance turns its focus onto me. And so, you know, they're setting up what have you. Ruby's like, no, I don't want to do that. Rightfully so. I get it. You don't want to shoot somebody just because. But, you know, she's getting ready to shoot Monday in the hand. And then the other guy comes around the corner and shoots Ruby in the process, and Ruby goes down. She's unfortunately like dying, and he tells Monday, oh, she was going to shoot you. I saw it for myself. Monday says nothing. Monday doesn't say, hey, I was the one that told her to do it so we can distract the ambulance. And then I guess in a way the guy was trying to be like apologetic for what he had done. He's trying to bandage up Ruby and make her comfortable or whatever, and Monday still doesn't say a word. And I'm like, I texted Amber at this point. I'm like, F you, Monday.
Yeah. And as far as all I can really say to that is this episode was written by Stephen Moffat. That's all I can say.
Moffat, for those who know how much I despise Moffat. Sherlock at times, the BBC Sherlock. Yeah, Moffat and Gaddis were on my shit list some days. So, yeah.
Gaddis was actually in Doctor Who too, at different points. It's what people were saying is that because Stephen Moffat's episodes and previous things of Doctor Who were pretty well written, amazing. People loved them. When he was a showrunner, it didn't work as well. Like everybody kind of people. It's kind of like I'm not saying everybody agrees with this, so don't come at me, guys. A lot of people think he writes good episodes, singular episodes, does not write good seasons. And I watch a lot of things that he has contributed to, and I personally don't think he writes children well at all. And I think that's what resulted in Splice being, you know, a dumbass kid, because he writes children either robotically or like they're stupid or like they're not real beings. Like he just I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem like he fully has an understanding about how children talk and act and behave and react to things. So how Splice reacted in this episode is absolutely weird and bizarre for normal circumstances, but once you consider, oh, this is written by Stephen Moffat, that makes sense. Same thing with Monday. Like I think he wants you to focus on the bigger picture of things, and so he ignores small little lines like Monday saying, oh, I told her to shoot me. Like that, to him, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's stupid either way.
As much as what happens next. I guess that's at least how I interpret a lot of his writing.
Okay, still dumb, but okay.
I mean, I agree. Just trying to help.
And then so then this whole thing with like Ruby, like she's on the verge of dying, what have you. The doctor's still on the landmine. He's like freaking out. His adrenaline's going high. Therefore, the I don't know what you call it. The little landmine is charging up to where it's about to possibly kill him. If not, it goes into a failsafe and will kill him regardless. And apparently because he's so powerful that he will like obliterate everything within close proximity. So as Ruby's lying there dying, and we've seen this before a couple of times, snowflakes. Let's deal with snowflakes. What's happening? Why are there snowflakes?
That's definitely a Ruby thing.
It's a Ruby thing.
But
what is she capable of? What is her power? I feel like she's powerful.
Spoilers.
Ah! I'm on to something.
Yeah, you are. I can't tell you. Yes,
Genius.
she makes
Anyway.
it snow.
She makes it snow. It's like,
Yes,
it reminds me of Harry Potter. It's like, stop it, Ron. You're making it snow.
that actually was really funny. No, I do want to comment too, because I have talked about a little bit before about Time Lord biology. He does mention the reason why it would, instead of just being a small little normal landmine, why it will blow up half the planet. It's because he is a multi-dimensional being. He doesn't just exist on this dimension. He exists multi-dimensionally. So it's kind of Time Lords are kind of they're kind of eldritch beings. Like, if we could see more dimensions, there is more there than just that beautiful Ncuti Gatwa. Like, there's more there. They also have a temporal sense, which is kind of cool. Like how we have a sense of smell and sight and touch. They have a temporal sense, so they can always tell what time it is.
Interesting.
This was Time Lord biology with Amber.
Carve out a corner for her and have her own little like mini session.
Moving on.
So in theory, if he did step off the landmine, it goes boom, like the title of the episode. Would that affect other dimensions, not just that planet, which is Casterian 3? Yep.
Correct and correct.
Correct and correct.
About the planet and the dimensions, yes.
Nice.
Very good. Okay.
Justin, we're turning into like junior Time Lords.
We're getting it. We're slowly getting it.
Well, that's what I was telling you guys, like when we were covering Loki, and you guys are like, how do you know all of this? And I'm like, years of Doctor Who, guys.
Yeah, we're learning at the feet of the master.
She's like Ouroboros.
Oh yeah, because Amber liked to draw those loops.
Dude, so good.
Yeah,
I can't draw a time loop for Arizona. I just can't.
So good though.
Not like for Doctor Who, I just can't do I can't do a temporal map for Doctor Who. There's too much going on.
So much, yeah.
Well, I mentioned time loop, and speaking of time loop, let's talk about episode 4, titled 73 Yards, which I thought, pretty cool title when you learn what that means. This is almost exclusively a Ruby episode. Yeah. And another kind of Twilight Zone, because Ruby's kind of stuck in this nightmare reality where there's this woman who is 73 yards, who's always a distance of 73 yards away from her. And this woman, when people come in contact with this woman, they run away screaming. And Ruby's like, I guess, too afraid to go talk to her. But so she's sending people constantly to go talk to this person. And everyone
physically can't get close to her.
That's that also. There's that too. Yeah. And this storyline goes on, like the doctor disappears early in the episode, and we see, like 80 years of Ruby's life kind of pass by during this episode. That's kind of the broad strokes of the episode, but Brittany, let's dig a little bit deeper into there. What'd you think about the episodes and how the plot kind of plotted for lack of a better word, how the story unfolded?
So the fact that they landed in Wales in the TARDIS, right? They're super excited. Yeah. Of course, I was super excited about them being in Wales because I have a Welsh cardigan corgi, and I'm like, oh, they're in the motherland of your ancestors. And then, unfortunately, the Doctor steps and breaks a fairy. What do they call it? A fairy circle,
fairy ring, or fairy
ring,
circle, whatever.
And I don't know too much personally about fairy lore, especially in Wales.
I do.
But I didn't. I know you do. But I told Amber when we were texting each other, I said, Wales, fairies. I better see corgis, because corgis and fairies have a lore together that's just so cute. But anyway, by breaking the circle, it puts into motion everything that we're going to see throughout this episode, right? Ruby reads like these messages from that circle that I guess she probably shouldn't have ever read. And as the camera focuses more on her, it also comes back and we see that the doctor's gone. But we do see like this mysterious woman in the distance who's doing a lot of like these hand gestures. It's almost kind of like, I don't know, like some sort of ritual or dance type thing. I don't know. It's up for interpretation, I guess you could say. Which is basically this whole episode is up for interpretation, or you're really not meant to understand. And I have issue with it. I'll get to it when we get there. So Ruby's left on her own. She goes and meets this woman who's like, hey, do you see this other woman that's behind me? Yeah, I do. Can you go talk to her? Well, why don't you go talk to her? I can't. So this woman kindly goes and talks to the one that's following Ruby, and then ultimately like screams and runs away. It's like, okay, that's weird. Happens again later from a man at the bar that Ruby enters, who, by the way, all these bar attendees were just fucking jerks. Like, my God, why?
They were rude.
Why do you have to be so rude to her? Like the whole, well, can I pay with my phone? Pay with your phone. And I was just like, I texted Amber. I'm like, okay, is she in her like current timeline, or is she in a timeline where they don't know that that's possible? Like I was a little confused about that, but then it was like, no, they're just being dicks. And I'm like, okay, well, great. So yeah, she's like telling them about this woman following her, and they're like, oh, well, there's magic here. There's, blah, 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 blah. And Ruby talks about Mad Jack, which was the name that was on one of the pieces of paper. And they're like, oh, Mad Jack, blah, 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 blah. Basically, they're yanking her chain. But there was a bar attendee who did go outside because he was leaving, encounters that woman, and runs away screaming. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, this is very strange. All the while, doctor's still nowhere to be found. Don't get an explanation at all. Really?
He's in Barbie. Duh.
Oh my God, is he in Barbie?
He was in Barbie, yeah.
Shut
he's
up.
Barbie. Yeah, he's Black.
I still haven't seen Barbie, but now I actually might watch the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have a huge role in it, but he's in the movie.
He's one of the Kens.
One of the Kens.
So that's kind of like, well, it's a wee joke. That's where he was the whole time. He's in Barbie Land.
That's so funny. Okay. But like Ruby's still like watching this woman. Woman won't like leave her alone and whatever. She eventually makes her way back home to her mom and her grandma and what have you. All the while, the woman's still following her, and the mom's like, hey, I'm gonna go talk to her. I'll be on the phone with you and blah 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 blah. No, the same thing happens to mom, and mom like straight up gets in a taxi cab and leaves. Like leaves Ruby high and dry. By the way, Ruby can't get back into the TARDIS. I should have mentioned that earlier. TARDIS is locked for whatever reason.
And left in Wales.
And left in Wales. On that cliff top. It's like, what is happening? So yeah, time passes. Time passes. Poor Ruby. Goes on in life.
Constantly. You see Kate. Return of Kate.
Yes. I'm sorry. I did get ahead of myself. Go ahead. Take it away. Talk about this scene with Kate. Yes, we love Kate. Go ahead.
So eventually she gets in contact with Unit and Kate, because that's what Unit does, is they look for things left over from the Doctor, or things that may be Doctor-esque or threats to Earth, and they look into it. And so when they hear about what's happening with Ruby, oh, she was a companion of the Doctor, cool, let's bring her in. And Kate is very much just like, very much scientifically matter of fact, like, okay, let's try and figure this out. What's going on? And she sent in her SWAT team, but unfortunately, her audio mic was connected to whatever the woman was saying to the SWAT team. So Kate and all of Unit, therefore, did the same thing that everyone else does. They looked between the woman and Ruby, and then ran away screaming, and like, not just scream, but like to their reactions almost seemed like angry mad, angry scared. Like they're scared,
like they're
but they're
mad,
also
like they're mad at Ruby. Like, what does she do?
Yeah, it's like their reactions aren't just terrified. They aren't just scared. They're like angry scared. Like the look that her mother gave her in the taxi when she drove by, that hurt my heart. that look of absolute hatred and disgust from your own mother. And then also, like, she would, you know, she locked her out. So poor Ruby had to find her way home from Wales without the doctor. So had to find her way back to London with no money, no other clothes, no nothing. And then she can't go back to her mom's because her mom doesn't want to be around her anymore. And like, she kind of just has to live the rest of her life with this. I guess it's an impairment, because nobody will want to get close to you because of it. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, and then we learn about this character, Roger Ap Gwilym, who is the or Gwilliam is the he's running for prime minister. And earlier in the episode, the doctor mentioned this character before he disappeared, and he said that, you know, this guy, you know, in the future becomes like the worst prime minister ever. He basically, you know,
The monster.
yeah, he's a monster. Yeah, leads this like nuclear destruction of the world. And so this guy comes into power, and we see Ruby help. You know, she negates that by using this woman who's 73 yards away. She has the woman talk to this political candidate, and he decides to resign, and he runs away, screaming like everyone else does. So, very like Twilight Zone kind of episode. And then she just, you know, she goes from, you know, 2046 to then we go 40 years later, and she's, you know, in her 80s, and you're just like, when is the doctor going to come in? Like, how is this going to be resolved? That was my thing. Brittany, what were your thoughts about how the episode ended?
So at some point, you know, I figured, okay, this is like a closed time loop. Not that I'm an expert on time and time loops and things like that. Like, I'm exposed to what little we got from Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, with the time turner that Hermione uses. What little we have gotten with Loki, of course. Definitely don't have the expertise that Amber does, but that much I kind of figured, because the fact that when it looped back to the moment when Ruby and the doctor landed in Wales with the TARDIS, and you're hearing like the voices, you know, on the wind, and Ruby like changed. She initially said, like, the first time they landed, it's like, oh, I've been to Wales twice, you know, one time in Cardiff, and then the second time for whatever reason. And then the dialogue changed. Oh, I've been to Cardiff. I've been to Wales 3 times now, you know, and it's starting off with that same conversation, but in the distance still you have that like apparition at this point, right? It's kind of, that's what the woman is that's been following Ruby around. It's like an apparition. And on the wind, you hear, don't break it, or something along those lines, referring to, don't step on it. Thank you. Referring to the fairy circle that is there. So Ruby tells the doctor, oh, no, you know, don't, you know, watch what you're doing. Don't step on it. And they look down, they examine it, they appreciate it, learning about the fairy circle. The doctor's like, no, don't read anything. Like, let's be respectful. And, you know, they get up and run off and go about their adventure, which breaks, you know, the cycle that could have been, or breaks the loop that could have been. Therefore, this is a closed loop, because mission accomplished. They don't break the fairy circle. Yep. But there were so many unanswered questions regarding the apparition. Like, was it indeed Ruby? What was being said to all these people who approached the apparition to make them run off and you know, not want anything to do with Ruby? Like, to me, it felt like lazy writing. If the intention is you're not meant to understand, like, you, the audience, are not meant to understand it. It's, to me, it just seems like a cop-out, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're going to have a closed time loop plot, then provide us closure. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. I don't know. I was a little deflated after watching the episode, because it was such an interesting episode. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Talk about tapping into more of like a paranormal or supernatural sort of vibe. But like,
Yeah, very Black Mirror. Like seriously, the whole episode was just very Black Mirror.
that's why you asked me if I've ever watched Black Mirror. Got it. So
Yeah,
no,
it's a vibe.
and for the record, I have not. But I didn't like how we didn't get the closure. Leaving it up for interpretation is fine to a degree, but like you gotta give a touch more, just a touch more. Like, yeah.
Amber, your thoughts?
A lot of people actually agree with Brittany. A lot of people were kind of, they loved the episode for what it was, but they kind of felt unfulfilled with it. The only explanation I have actually think that it doesn't 100% make it feel better for me, but it helps me a little bit, is that the paradox of that, of her being there, is what it's kind of like your eyes don't want to look at it, or kind of like when you're staring at something that is like it's an optical illusion kind of thing. Like your eyes do not want your brain doesn't want to accept it and does not want to understand it. So when faced with two rubies, their brains were just like, nope, I'm out of here, and they just nope their way out. Other people interpret it as because Ruby has a lot of abandonment issues from her various past, but not just her mother being left as a baby and stuff like that. But she's talked about it before, where she does have a lot of a bit of abandonment issues. And as somebody with abandonment issues, I get it. That would be her kind of manifestation of her worst fear, would be for something like that to happen, where it's turning everybody away from you. So you have to be alone. And it is confirmed that is old Ruby. She's just trying to tell herself. And the hand movements are kind of are supposed to be like her pleading with herself, like to go back and stop and go back and stop. And
interesting.
Yeah, and what the actress who played old Ruby, what she said that she verbally was saying, because she actually had to say stuff to kind of look like she was saying stuff. She was saying things too, just like stop, don't do it, you're so young, please don't, we're like, look at us, like things like that, kind of very vague, but being like all wrapping up in don't do it. And okay. That's kind of the only real thing that we got, but it was very, I don't know, I think it's interesting, and it was very thought-provoking, but this is a very, very paranormal episode in my science show. And I love scary, paranormal, supernatural, fairy tale, folklore. I love all of that. I'm just not used to it in my science show. Give me science. And it was but it was very interesting, I think, in itself. And Millie, she's a very young actress. This is her first like major role, and this is one of the first episodes she filmed.
Oh wow.
So like this is a big undertaking that she did. So I'm kind of impressed with her for that, because I think she did an amazing performance. I did not like that they just put glasses and a wig on her to make her look older. You could have done a little bit more as she aged, because by the time that she actually defeats Roger Epps Williams, she's like, what, 50 something? She's supposed to be like in her 50s.
Right.
It just looks like 19-year-old Ruby with a wig and glasses.
Yeah.
They could have done a little more.
I think that a couple of times, because they showed her like she goes from like, let's say 19 or 20 to 30 or so, because she's looking out the window. A couple of those times she looked a little bit older, but you're right, she's so young, it's hard to like, without putting prosthetics on her face or doing something digitally, it's hard to make someone who's 19 or 20 look like they're 50, 60, 70, 80 or whatever, so it just didn't. And of course, by the time we get to the 80-year-old, they actually have an age appropriate actress playing Ruby. But
I do have a little comment, and this was the last I'll mention the Master for now. There was a reference to the Master in Boom, and there was a reference to, there should have been a reference to the Master in this one too, that we kind of joke about. In Boom, one of the things the Doctor sings to himself to like calm himself down is is a poem about stealing the moon and the president's wife. That's a thing that the Master has mentioned to other companions about the Doctor. Like, I knew him when we did this. I knew him when I was a little girl, when he was a little girl, and I knew him when he stole the moon and the president's wife. And another companion also later on, they talk about the moon and the president's wife or the president's daughter, and it's like, it's a thing that is never fully explained in Doctor Who, but it's just like a tiny little tidbit. And I want to know what the real story is, but the fact that he said he was singing, reciting that like poem story to himself to try and calm himself down on when he's on the landmine was kind of interesting to me. Mm-hmm. And then also, when I said that the Master's, one of his secret identities is he pretended to be a human, and he actually got elected as the British Prime Minister and was very close to taking over the world and destroying all humans. Like he did that. Like he actually did that. And like he won the vote. He was Prime Minister. So the fact that the Doctor at the very beginning was just like, Roger Ap William, one of the worst prime ministers in history, and it's like, the Master deserves like a reference in there, because I mean, he did try to kill the entire planet, and he technically succeeded. Like, dude, reference the Master, please. I'm begging you. But that was kind of it. I just wanted to say those two bits, and now we can continue on.
Okay. Brittany, do you have any final thoughts about the episode, or what do you think overall with these 4 episodes as we kind of?
I think it's a great start. I mean, we kind of got a little bit of everything. We've got like, something fun. We had something silly. We had something that was kind of heavy in the sense of Boom, and then something that was just like, what the hell with the 4th episode. So like kind of getting a little variety of just the different scenarios that Doctor Who's adventures will take us on. It's like, it's not just going to be one thing. It kind of keeps you on your toes. And I think, again, because now we're all on even level playing field. I asked Amber during the Devil's Chord episode about Maestro. I'm like, is this like someone who's been shown previously, or is this something new? And she's like, this is actually something new. So I'm like, oh, like that's cool. Like, once again, me watching as a first timer, having no idea, no backstory whatsoever about Doctor Who, and watching with someone who has like an incredible love for the show and knows like the ins and outs of it, really. I think it's kind of cool how it's bringing these two worlds together, so that we can all enjoy it at the same time. So it's been fun. It's been fun watching these first 4 episodes, and I can't wait to watch the next 4 and come back and give a review on the complete
season. I'm so excited for you guys to see, especially the next 2, but also the penultimate and the ultimate. I'm so excited, but mostly I'm so excited for Dawn Bubble and Rogue. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, it's a fun show, and it's a well put together show. I understand why people like this show now that I know what it is, now that I've actually seen it. So, I'm enjoying it a lot. It does make you think. It's not a show where like you're not bored watching it. There's a lot of, you have to really kind of watch to keep up. Otherwise you'll get lost pretty easily. Because there's a lot going on, and it's pretty interesting because mostly it's just the 2 actors. It's just, Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, yes, there's a couple other people that are sprinkled in here and there, but like as far as like recurring cast members, it's just those 2, and so far they've carried the season pretty easily in my estimation. So I'm interested to see kind of where it goes next and how it wraps up, and how it leads into this Christmas special that Amber mentioned that I'm sure we'll be talking about as the holidays roll around, which is crazy to say because it's in August and like we're not that far from the holidays, which just to me is wild how fast this year has moved. Honestly, it feels like maybe we're in a
I don't
time
like
machine or
it.
something. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Time is an illusion, and so is death.
Ooh.
But there is I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying it. I really am. I feel like what I said before when after we watched the specials, that the specials, and especially with 14 and David Tennant,
Yeah.
that was like for me. This is for you. This is
Right.
your guys' first Doctor. This is all for you. And I really like it. I like that I'm able to, explain. Like, I think they do an excellent job at making it fun and engaging for new audiences, but still they have so many of those nods and echoes to past things that make me point at the screen like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio. Like,
and the Wolf of Wall Street, she's like, whoa,
Yeah, it's exactly, I'm telling you, I am constantly just pointing at my screen and screaming. But there's so many things to it. And one thing I do want to mention too, the thing that I was going to discuss, but then I was waiting until after we discuss all 4 episodes. There has been an actor who has been in all of these episodes and was in even Wild Blue Yonder. And the Christmas special too. In Wild Blue Yonder, she was the maid of Isaac Newton, that we saw in the very beginning.
Okay.
Then she was a woman in kind of dressed a little bit like a hippie, but was one of the women in the crowd when Ruby was performing her like Christmas holiday party thing. When she was actually out at the piano and the keyboard and actually performing, she was one of the women who like she stood up and was like requesting to them to do certain kinds of songs.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm with
you. Then that was in the Christmas special. In Space Baby, she's one of the recorded people who abandoned the ship or the orbiter. She was one of the people recorded. Then in the Devil's Chord, sorry, I forgot the name of the episode. I was just called it the Beatles episode. In that one, she was the cafeteria lady who gave them the tea or whatever, and she said that'll be like £5, and the doctor's like, how much? And then she starts talking about another actress or whatever. She was also in it. And then in Boom, she was the ambulance. And then and then she was the hiker that in 73 Yards, the first hiker, the first woman who tried to talk to old Ruby.
Is she a Time Lord?
I'm not telling you anything. And also, if you look in the credits, her last name is Susan Twist.
Oh, okay. Just like they said, there's a twist at the end, right? So, yeah. Very interesting. I never would have
cracked the code.
Yeah. I could have watched these episodes 100 times, like every day for the rest of my life. I don't think I would have put that together.
So. You would have been in a time loop.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way I would have noticed that because, wow, that's pretty deep. Okay.
Eventually, you can't ignore things. There are some things you just can't ignore.
Interesting.
I only caught on to her in Devil's Chord. Gosh, the same thing almost happened again. I almost forgot the name of the episode as I'm saying it.
Maestro.
Yeah, it was only in Devil's Chord where I was like, that lady looks familiar. And I watch a lot of British TV shows. I thought I was deluding myself and being like, no, she has to have been in one of the other millions of shows I've seen.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's pretty normal for Doctor Who. But then I immediately go on Tumblr and people are like, no, she was in the Newton. She was Newton's maid and she was in this. And like, I'm like, what? And yeah. So I am telling you these things. I'm only telling you guys this because I learned about here that her name is Susan Twist. The actress's name is Susan Twist.
Okay.
So I wanted to share that with you to get your guys' reactions.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate.
hopefully you guys can keep an eye for her, I guess.
Yeah, I just made a note. The Susan Twist actor. That's in my notes here. So going forward, I will be looking for that name and trying to figure out who she plays in the next 4 episodes, which we'll be talking about in our next episode.
Yeah, you'll see her in Dawn Bubble for sure. Oh yeah, I remember she's in Rogue too. Okay, yeah, I got it.
She's got to be in all of
in
them,
there.
right? She has to be.
She is.
Yeah. Okay.
I just couldn't remember where she was in Rogue, but now I do.
She's a Time Lord, Justin.
I'd love to continue hearing your guys' theories or what you think is going on, and also what the hell is going on with Ruby and the snow. I want to hear your guys' thoughts because I know things and I can't tell you my thoughts. So I want to know your thoughts.
Ruby's a witch. No, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why she would be able to make it snow, unless like her parent
in the snow.
Yeah, I mean unless her parent or parents are also. I mean, now knowing the history of the Doctor who was adopted as well, very similar story between him and Ruby, like both adopted and this and that, what have you. They're one of a kind. Like Ruby has to be like one of a kind for one reason or another because she somehow is able to create snow either unknowingly or I guess at this point it's unknowingly, but there has to be more to her than just like she's just human. Like there has to be some sort of either like supernatural thing about her or parentage, lineage. Unearthly. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. She knows nothing. There's no record of anything about her parents, or that's just very sus. So maybe because they're not of this world either.
Well, I think it's clear her dad is Frosty the Snowman. That's clear. That's
good.
But also, I want to tie into like the last before we kind of wrap up. The in Devil's Chord, the Maestro mentions the one who waits and says like apparently he was there at the time of her birth.
Is he Papa?
Huh?
Is he Papa?
I don't know. But it's just so funny.
I love Justin that you're laughing because you know exactly why I'm saying it this way.
It's a reference that Amber doesn't understand yet until she sees a certain movie that's doing very well in the theaters. Yeah, go ahead.
It was just like Maestro was saying, like he couldn't have been there. That makes no sense. He couldn't have been there. The Maestro was kind of freaking out about it. Like if you even want to go back and look at that scene, Maestro was freaking out. It even says like that this human is very wrong. Like just things to think about. And I mean, I have other questions. Like if you guys have questions, I can help answer before we wrap up. Do you guys have any other questions? I don't want to like lead you on too much. I don't want to like give you guys answers by telling you things.
I think if we end on a high, like, kind of getting this bit of information and then like we have to mull it over, then we can come up with more theories, and think about it. But hopefully
there's also a thing. Okay, I'm not going to tell it to you, but basically research, I guess, for you. In Devil's Chord, the Doctor mentions a very specific thing about his past, where he lived.
Yeah.
In 1963, and who he lived with.
Yes.
Okay. I remember he mentioned a
granddaughter.
His granddaughter. Yeah.
Okay. But what
town
town was it?
She's human.
Oh, okay.
Primarily human. She's part human, part Time Lord. Primarily. The granddaughter.
Oh, okay. See, I think this might be too deep for us. I think we're surface level people still. I think we're still trying to.
He mentioned her name, but I don't want to give it away and like ruin things. I want you guys to know about it, but
I'll have to go back and check that out. But where did he say
Googling it? I can tell.
Where do they live? Where they live? He did not Liverpool.
They lived in a junkyard.
Okay, but
it was just a random junkyard.
But they didn't mention like the town or the city or anything.
No, he mentions the road that the junkyard was on because the granddaughter wanted to go to normal human school and try it out. And so he parked there so she could do that. And eventually some of her teachers are like, dude, something's weird about this child. And they try and follow her home to try and talk to her guardian. And boom, you got a new companion. The first companion.
Yeah.
Brittany, did you Google it? I need to know if you Googled it.
You mind your own damn business.
I just want to say it.
I have found nothing. Okay. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
This is, if anything, this is helping our audience to be equally intrigued, watch these episodes, do the research, and then come back and watch our review of the last 4 episodes of season 1 of Disney Plus Doctor Who.
Yes.
So we have homework. Brittany, you and I will have to figure this out.
I
want theories.
Homework.
I want theories. I want research.
I want pizza. I'm hungry. So
I have pizza.
But are you over here? No.
No.
Shush.
If we live nearby, you would be.
Well,
or maybe like a 3D printer if you once in the future you can.
That's...
Oh no, like it's Spy Kids. Like where they just put the token in and it just.
Yes. Yes, I want that.
Or Back to the Future 2, right?
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
The TARDIS has a kitchen, by the way.
Oh, the Fifth Element. That's another one.
Oh, that's cool.
Fifth Element.
Yeah. TARDIS has a kitchen. It has thousands of bedrooms. It has a fully stocked library like Beauty and the Beast style, and it has an Olympic swimming pool.
Wow. Well, the Olympics are happening right now, so very, very timely for you to mention that, Amber. We appreciate that.
So we know where the next Summer Olympics will be held, inside the TARDIS.
The TARDIS. I would hum the Olympic song, but I don't want to get copyright. Yeah, because it would sound very, very good if I did that. And that would be scary to the YouTube audio monitors. Yeah. So that about does it. I know Amber has probably way more to mention to us, but I think Brittany and I, we've kind of reached our limit of knowledge with the show. We are enjoying it though. So that's the first step. And we hope you join us for the next step. Next week, we will discuss the final 4 episodes of season 1 of Doctor Who on Disney Plus. We're looking forward to it. We hope you decide to join us. And now you know what we think about the first 4 episodes. We want to know what you think about it. And Brittany, how can people tell us?
Hey, we always encourage those to join us in our live streams, just like Rahib, Moves. Who else was here? Just looking real quick. Eleanor and Patty and Game with Mike. We appreciate all of y'all, and King B Johnson. My apologies. We appreciate all of y'all being here, taking the time out of your day to chat with us about Doctor Who. We hope you enjoy it. I do have some big news, y'all. We hit 400 subscribers.
Oh wow, we did it. Okay, thank you.
We did it. We're so excited. Everyone, thank you so much for your continued support for this channel. We really, truly do enjoy what we do here. We have a lot of fun, as you can see. And this is a huge milestone for us here at the Watchers in the Basement. We've been here for 6 years at this point. And
over
it's
5,
been
right?
Over 5. I think we're in season 6. That's what I meant to say. We're traveling into our 6th year, I should say. But yeah, thank you all so much for your love and support. Please continue to talk about us, get others to subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on our social media. You can find those links in our about section, and then also check out our audio podcasts. If you're not into video podcasts, over on Apple and Spotify, be sure to give us a follow and give us a 5-star rating.
Yeah. We appreciate all that stuff. Also, hey, if you have recommendations for something you want us to talk about, we appreciate that stuff as well. And that always helps us. You can be like the producer for the show. If you can give us a topic. And like what Amber did. Amber is the one who wanted us to talk about Doctor Who. And here we are. We're talking about Doctor Who. So thanks again. Yeah. Thanks again to Brittany. Thanks again, of course, to Amber for all her expertise and for her help with everything. We appreciate that. And most of all, thanks to you for watching and for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.